Before the banners flew his name, before the stories of strength and wrath, there was the boy and the cage. His father never looked him in the eye, not when he spoke his name for the last time, not when he signed the parchment, and not when he sold his only son for 30 silver and a cask of grain. His father's face is a blur now. Only fragments remain, the coarse edge of his cloak, the scent of wood smoke and sour ale, and a voice. Fulgrim tries to remember what the man said. Was it an apology? A curse? A goodbye? But whatever those final words were, they were lost beneath the rattling chains and the laughter of the slavers, fading beneath the dungeon noise. The boy cried at first, until crying earned beatings. Then he stopped, until silence earned suspicion. Then he learned to scream on cue, to bow before fists, to smile when ordered. He learned to obey. The cages were iron, the food was rot, the air was thick with piss, breath, and fear. At night, the older slaves fought each other for scraps, for amusement, for madness, for something to feel. Fulgrim was thrown in young. He survived by being quiet, then by being clever, and when that failed, by being violent. He broke his first bone at 9, someone else's, his own at 10. Then Mira came. She descended into the pens with perfume and pearls, as if she didn't breathe the same filth, as if cruelty didn't cling to her skin like silk. Her eyes stopped on him. Not out of pity, but curiosity. Here was something interesting, something broken, but not dead. She didn't speak to him that day. She just smiled. And that smile chased him through every dream for years thereafter. By 18, he had his teeth filed and muscles soaked in venomous oils to make him spectacular. She called it training. He called it love. When she brought him to the grand arena, he thought it was salvation. It was simply a bigger cage. They bathed him in oils, dressed him in gold-threaded rags, named him the Bloodhorn of Theros, and sent him to kill. He won. He learned to roar on cue, to bleed beautifully, to stagger with artful agony. He became everything they wanted, and Mira, she made him feel like he mattered. She touched him gently, praised him privately, gave him crepes from her hand, and whispered, "They love you, Fulgrim, but not like I do." Her words were a leash. Her gifts were chains. Her love was wrought. She never beat him. She never had to. She taught him to beat himself. For years she fed his pride like a drug. He became her champion, her consort, her shadow. He was her beast, her blade, her bedfellow. Gladiator by day, concubine by night. She praised him after each kill, kissed him after each victory, told him he was special, that the crowd loved him, that she loved him. And somewhere, in that twisted, glimmering lie, he believed it. Because if you're nothing, and someone tells you you're everything, you cling to it, even when it burns. With every roar of the crowd, a little more of him died, because glory is just gold paint on a cage. It was the final match of the summer season. The arena was packed with nobles and distant kings. Fulgrim entered, roaring, draped in crimson, the sun gleaming off sweat and steel. He expected another crowd pleaser, some oaf in armor, some beast released from a cage. But what awaited him was silent. A lithe warrior, a man with no name, with eyes like ice and blades curved like serpents. He moved like smoke. He fought like a memory, always one step ahead, and in a heartbeat, Fulgrim's right arm was gone. He fell, shattered and broken to the floor of bones, blood pulsing like betrayal from the stump. And when he looked up to the balcony, Mira did not rise, did not scream, did not weep. She sipped her wine and turned to the man who cut him down. The new favorite, the silent warrior. By morning the posters were printed. By evening the crowd had a new beast to cheer. And Fulgrim, he was discarded again. They didn't kill him. I would have been merciful. They locked him in a stone cell beneath the sands, alone, unwashed, and untended. He may have lived, but it was there that he stopped being alive. But pain is not the end. Pain is a door, and Fulgrim walked through it. No one knew who started it. A whisper here, a poisoned guard there, then explosions, screams, fire through the grain stores, the gates of the slave pens wrenched open, the scent of blood and smoke filled the tunnels. Fulgrim stood. He ripped through the chains. He used his horns to gore his way through the guards, used his rage to limp through the chaos. He searched for Kovac, a man he'd grown up beside, a half-elf runt with clever hands and a sharp tongue. They used to dream of escape together. Kovac always believed in freedom. Fulgrim found him half buried beneath a crumbling wall, along with some dwarven noble. He pulled the nobleman free and they tried to dig Kovac out. They tried to save him. But the ceiling was collapsing. More guards were coming. Kovac looked up to them and said, "Run." And Fulgrim did. And in the fading distance he heard the stone fall. A final desperate scream and silence. And now that silence follows him like a shadow. Kovac's face burned into his memory like a festering wound. Lost within the smoke and chaos, unable to find the way. In the lowest corridors of the outer tunnels, where no guards patrolled, Fulgrim and the noble found the final gate. Beside him stood a dwarf in deeply trimmed robes and quiet armor, his beard braided with runes of old stone. Not a slave, not a prisoner, but a powerful nobleman. From behind his beard he pulled a long, thin, bone-like object that he inserted into the gate's lock. As he twisted it gently, the lock fell open. As he passed the gate, he spoke as Fulgrim passed. "I know you, Fulgrim. By your tales one might assume you just leave me for dead, and yet you have saved me. I owe you my life, and a dwarf always pays his debts. When the silence you carry becomes heavier than the world you escaped, call upon Rignir Crameharch, and I will come to your aid." And then he vanished into the dark, as if he'd never been there at all. And Fulgrim crawled through the sewers beneath the city, filth in his wounds, broken ribs grinding with every breath. He tore the collar from his neck, and when the sun touched his face for the first time in years, Fulgrim wept. Until everything went silent. When he emerged, the dawn did not welcome him. The world did not cheer. There were no banners, no kisses, only cold wind and silence. The kind of silence that wraps around you like a shroud. But for the first time in his life, it was his silence. And now, he walks the world not to forget, not to forgive. Mira taught him how to perform. She taught him how to bleed for the masses. She taught him how to kill with grace and love the chains. She thought she broke him. Mira had made him her champion, her slave, her lover, her possession. But what she truly made was her reckoning.